And I really hate it when I'm teaching those classes and then we have a political discussion and students immediately go to the fascistic kind of like Hitler comparison. But that's my question that I have for you. At what point, if you see the development of what's happening currently right now to Trump's rise to power, his progression to getting his second term, compared to Weimar Germany during the in-war period, because there's a lot of correlations there, and this isn't propaganda. I can give you list after list after list from an objective point of view, because I'm sure you consider yourself to be an historian, and if that's the case in history, if you're asking a question, testing a theory, or filling in a gap, asking that question shouldn't be as controversial as it should be, especially if you're looking from objective means.
Fair question. Do you also, and I will answer the question, but do you also correlate President Trump's rise to second power to Winston Churchill's?
No, I wouldn't.
But they have way more in common than the Weimar Germany one, and you're a historian professor. Because it's interesting. They say, well, the similarities between Weimar Germany and Trump, okay, but Churchill and Trump had a lot of similarities in their rise to power. So did Thatcher and Trump. The point being is there's a lot of European examples you can point to. However, I will concretely answer the question. Okay. They have huge things that they disagree on and that there were big differences. Was Hitler pro-free speech or anti-free speech?
He wasn't necessarily pro-free speech, especially when it got towards the end of the Weimar Republic.
Yeah, I mean, he would imprison journalists
right.
and, put his political opponents in jail. And so I guess the question is, has Donald Trump been pro-free speech or anti-free speech? Well, first of all, I think the entire premise is wrong. You cannot draw a linear connection with every figure of history to the moment of time. First of all, that's just an incredibly sloppy way of looking at things, because then everything becomes Nazi Germany and everything is Hitlerian. For example, people are like, oh, Joe Biden is acting like Hitler, which, by the way, he acted far more as an autocrat than Donald Trump ever would, locking his political opponents in jail. Instead, you have to look at every moment in time, its own context, in its own perspective. And I would say there's a lot more depth and richness of history than just what happened during the horrors of World War II. As I mentioned, Churchill's rise to power, Thatcher's rise to power, the Elizabethan period. I think that Donald Trump is much more like Justinian's reign or Marcus Aurelius than anything that you could connect to Donald Trump, connect to Adolf Hitler.